I was already arrested and detained as a result of the House inquiry on the Bilibid drug trade when Arturo Las Cañas came out and admitted being the operations head of the DDS and pointed to Duterte as the mastermind in the extrajudicial killings perpetrated by the DDS in Davao. He eventually testified at the Senate, but his testimony was dismissed as being unreliable, the same way Matubato's testimony was dismissed to the Senate Justice Committee after Senator Gordon took over as chair. As far as I know, Las Cañas is one of the major witnesses of the Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court.
That there are human rights violations done during his time as Director General of the Philippine National Police. And he even caused that collateral damage. Now, you know, the killing of so many people to me is not just collateral damage. It could have been prevented. In fact, he even said that if the president ordered that all of those involved in drugs should be killed, ang sabi niya, kung maaalala ko, my dear colleagues, tanga ba akong susunod sa ating Pangulo? Yan ang sinabi niya. Now, in our first hearing here, I've said that even if the president said that you ought to kill, the Philippine National Police must still uphold the rule of law. And that is what we are after today. Now, comparing the killings that have been done during the previous administration and with the present administration today, and here we have Director General Marbil with us. Oo. Napakalayo naman. Oo. Sapagkat in the first 6 months of the war on drugs of the former president, thousands have been killed already. In the last 2 years of the present administration, the Philippine National Police only has about 51, if I'm not mistaken, that have been killed. You see? So nakikita po nyo rito na talagang maraming human rights violations. Nakikita niyo po rito na kinakailangan ang Kongreso ay umakto na upang maaaring baguhin natin ang ating batas at magkaroon po tayo ng magandang legislation upang hindi na po maulit ang nangyari noong mga panahong yon. So I would like to give it to any member of the committee if anyone would like to make comments on that or remark. Perhaps Congressman Manuel, because he was the one that actually wrote the resolution, to also speak to us right now on this inquiry. Go ahead, Congressman Manuel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po sa lahat ng ating mga kapwa mababatas, sa lahat din ng mga resource persons natin, Senator Leila, at sa ating mga kababayan na nakaantabay sa hearing na ito. Sa ngayon, nasa panglima na po tayo in this series of hearings at gusto natin na ma-achieve talaga natin ang hustisya para sa lahat. Dahil bilang isang kabataan, sinasabi nga natin, ayaw natin na maligaw ng landas ng ating mga kabataan. Ayaw natin na malulong sila sa paggamit ng illegal na droga. Pero merong mga tamang paraan kung paano natin tinitiyak na lumalaki ng maayos ang ating mga kabataan. At hindi talaga dapat kasama dito ay ang pagpatay sa kanila. Lalo na mga inosente na mga kabataan na meron sana mga pangarap pero naputol na rin dahil sa nangyaring war on drugs na mula sa mga naging pahayag noong mga nakaraang hearing lalong lumitaw na ito ay anti-mahirap, ito ay naging madugo at hindi din naman nasolusyonan ng pangmatagalan ang problema sa droga. We also commend yung ating mga fellow lawmakers na nakita pangangailangan na mangyari ang mga hearing na ito dahil napapanahon at hindi na dapat tumagal pa, di ba? Na patuloy na nangungulila, umiiyak ang mga pamilya nang hindi man lang makita kung meron bang pag-asa na makakamit nila ang hustisya. Yun lang muna sa ngayon, Mr. Chair. Salamat.
Nasabi ko na maaaring ito na ang huling hearing natin, no? Subalit hanggat merong question po dito at hindi po na-resolve ang ating pagdinig dito, ay pagpapatuloy po natin ang hearing na ito sapagkat nais natin marinig lahat. Ano? Gusto ko rin tawagin si Congresswoman Arlene Brosas sa kanyang statement tungkol sa ating pinag-usapan ngayon.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree, Mr. Chair. Hindi talaga tayo pwedeng tumigil ng hearing kung hindi natin talaga nakukuha yung mga necessary, essential, no, na datos para talagang makuha yung hustisya ng mga tao na naging biktima nitong war on drugs na peke, no, na war on drugs. Sa tingin po natin dapat managot, no? Kailangan po magkaroon talaga tayo ng matitibay, no, na mga pahayag dito para nang sagad. At saka, Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang sabihin na we've been asking for the longest time yung mga involved dito na umattend. And patuloy din na hindi uma-attend yung mga ni-request natin, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, pare-pareho naman tayong nagtatrabaho, 'di ba? Sa gobyerno, pare-pareho din tayo o kahit yung simpleng citizen na pinapatawag natin, ordinaryong mamamayan na pinapatawag natin ay pumupunta dito dahil gusto nating malaman yung katotohanan at makapagsalita, at sinabi nyo nga kanina, hindi one-sided. But again and again, we've been requesting for the former president to come here para ipaliwanag po yung mga akusasyon sa kanya. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin yun nangyayari. So Mr. Chair, hindi pwedeng matapos sa ganito, Mr. Chair. When in fact, yun po yung iniiyak ng mga biktima. Yun po yung sinasabi ng mga biktima. Yun din yung sinasabi ng mga datos na pinatutunayan ng mga nakaraan ng iba't ibang mga researchers at mga experts natin na nagsabi na sa mga pahayag ng Pangulo, ng nakaraang Pangulo, doon nagmumula yung problema, Mr. Chair. So hanggat hindi po yun nangyayari, hindi po tayo dapat tumigil. So Mr. Chair, in behalf of Gabriela Women's Party, para po sa mga bata, sa mga kababaihan, sa mga biktima nitong war on drugs na ito, hindi po natin pwedeng itigil ito. Patuloy po tayo magkaroon ng hearing hanggang sa matapos natin at malaman natin talaga yung katotohanan dito sa extrajudicial killings na kinumit during the Duterte administration. And we would like na yung pinakataas, pinakapuno, pinakaresponsable, yung siyang dapat magpaliwanag, Mr. Chair. Yun. And Mr. Chair, I would like to cite lang, Mr. Chair, no, for emphasis. Meron po tayo halimbawa yung UK News Blogs, yung Provocations Initiatives, 3 War on Drugs and Children in the Philippines. Ito po yung the World Organization Against Torture reported that at least 122 children aged from 1 to 17 were killed between 2016 and 2019 due to the war on drugs. Ito po ay research ni Clarissa David and Ronaldo Mendoza. Ni-reveal yung estimated number of children who lost at least one parent due to the war on drugs, no? So, second, meron din yung Rappler.com, Nation. Killings of children aged between 1 to 17 years old fall under 4 patterns. Direct targets, killed as proxies, killed as a result of mistaken, and the so-called collateral damage. At least 97 were killed in Luzon, 14 in Visayas, and 11 in Mindanao. Rodrigo Duterte, the President of the Philippines, has referred to innocent people and children as collateral damage in his war on drugs mula po sa www.theguardian.com, World 2016. Mismo, siya nagsabi, collateral damage ang mga yan. And lastly, Mr. Chair, Rappler din ito, killed in police operations, mga minors, college students, victims, war on drugs during the time. So, Mr. Chair, hindi po tayo papayag na ganito lang yung abutin ng ating hearing. Na parang vague lang, na parang ang mga pwede natin sisihin yung mga ilan-ilan lang ng mga pulis, pero hindi natin makuha na nanggagaling talaga somewhere yung utos o yung mga ganitong mga sinasabi no na sa kanila na gawin nila o pumatay sila pati ng bata, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat, Congresswoman Brosas. Mamaya tatanungin ko yung mga kapulisan natin. Ano ba talaga ang ibig sabihin ng collateral damage? Pagkat nung sinabit nyo sa amin ang mga datos ng mga napatay sa war on drugs noon, nakalagay doon, meron tayong 121 na mga mayayaman na mga drug lords, mga drug traffickers ang pinatay. Pero merong more than 7,000 na mga drug pushers na yan ay mga mahihirap na napatay. Oo. Meron ding 440 na mga drug pushers, drug users na hindi dapat patayin na napatay. Oh, sinabi ko nga dito, dapat nating i-rehabilitate yan. Kaya gusto ko malaman ano ba talaga ibig sabihin ng collateral damage. Ito po bang 7,000 na napatay, collateral damage lang ba ito? Aba, pambira, di wala tayong pinagkaiba sa Mexico. Saka sa Colombia, pinag-uusapan niya. I'd like to now recognize Attorney Colmenares, our former colleague here, for his statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, ang comment ko lang dun sa opening statement niyo po about the issue of sumusunod lang ng utos, I would just like to put on the record for the information of each and everyone naman sa atin, RA 9851, Republic Act 9851, batas yan mula 2009. Nakalagay doon sa Section 12, orders from a superior. The fact that a crime defined and penalized under this act has been committed by a person pursuant to an order of a government or superior does not relieve that person of criminal responsibility, provided unless the following elements occur. Ang isa doon, Mr. Chair, the person did not know that the order was unlawful. Imposible naman, Mr. Chair, ang isang opisyal o isang senador o dating o future senator na hindi niya alam na ang order to kill is unlawful. Pangalawa, that the order was not manifestly unlawful. So ibig sabihin, pag ang order ay manifestly unlawful, kahit may obligasyon kang sundin ang utos na nakakataas sa'yo, you also have the right. No, actually, you have the duty to say no to an unlawful or illegal order. Kaya sa maraming trials, Nuremberg yan, Tokyo Tribunals, International Criminal Tribunal of the former Yugoslavia at iba pang mga tribunals, Mr. Chair, a defense of a superior order is not recognized. Na hindi ka mapaparusahan dahil sabi mo, ay inutusan lang ako eh. Klaro ang rules sa international law, klaro ang rules sa Republic Act 9851 dito sa atin na hindi ka pwedeng sumunod ng anumang utos na manifestly unlawful, lalo na't alam mo na ang order ay unlawful. Ang pag-utos ng pagpatay, yung shoot first, pag gumalaw lang ng konti, shoot first, kahit sa rules of engagement ng pulis, hindi ganon. Dapat you exhort as much as possible all the opportunities para hindi ka mag-commit ng violence. Pero yung utos na ay konting kibot lang, barilin mo na, that is even illegal. That is also illegal, Mr. Chair, under established rules. So yun lang, Mr. Chair. And sana wala nang gagamit ng depensa na inutusan lang ako, kaya ako sumunod sa utos na ito. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Salamat, Attorney Colmenares. We're going to ask questions later pagkatapos natin marinig ang mga statement ng ating mga resource speakers. Ako natutuwa na makita muli si Senator De Lima dito na still active. Ang unang-una gusto kong recognize din naman ang Congresswoman Franz Castro na kasama natin ngayon. Kaya tihiringin ko po kay Senator De Lima na magsalita tungkol po sa isyong ito.
Maraming
At-
salamat po.
Ano yan po, Senator De Lima. Meron pang mga resource speakers natin na hindi pa ho nag-o-oath. Ano po? So kung hindi pa ho kayo nag-oath, kung pwedeng tumayo po kayo upang kayo ay mag-oath ngayon. Lahat po ng mga inibitahan natin na hindi pa nag-o-oath, please stand up so you could be able to take our oath today. Okay. Go ahead, Comsec.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this inquiry? Please say yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Please be seated. So, go ahead, De Lima.
Maraming salamat po. I actually have a prepared statement here, a short one. Good afternoon, Chairperson Benvenido Abante Jr. and honorable members of the House Committee on Human Rights. Thank you for inviting me in this proceedings. Good afternoon also to my fellow resource persons. I'd like to begin by saying that there is no doubt in my mind that former President Rodrigo Duterte is the mastermind, as he was the instigator and inducer of the drug war killings. The drug war was implemented as an official Duterte program of government when he assumed office as president. This is undeniable, since Oplan Double Barrel is a well-documented official PNP operation plan. The consequent extrajudicial killings were also intentionally and deliberately carried out as part and parcel of Oplan Double Barrel upon Duterte's orders as president and chief executive from 2016 to 2022. These killings constitute a systematic attack on civilians and considered as a crime against humanity under international humanitarian law. For his crimes against humanity, both as Davao City mayor and Philippine president, Duterte should be prosecuted and convicted by the International Criminal Court and spend the remainder of his life in prison. We all know that there is an ongoing ICC investigation. Any investigation of the past administration's drug war necessarily has to go back to the origins and history of the Davao Death Squad from its inception in 1988 up to 2016. This is because the 2016 to 2022 drug war is a mere offshoot of the DDS experience in Davao. What basically happened was that the systematic extrajudicial killings perpetrated by then Mayor Duterte and the PNP of Davao, specifically the Heinous Crimes Section of the Death Investigation Division of the Davao City Police Office, or HCS-DID DCPO, from 1988 to 2016 were simply replicated at the national level when President Duterte assumed the presidency and launched a national drug war. The centerpiece of the national drug war was modeled after the DDS system and operations of involving active PNP personnel in vigilante killings. They were organized into cell units of assassination squads led by active policemen from each police station. They were put in charge of their corresponding civilian hitmen. In the national drug war, this was replicated by appointing certain DDS policemen from Davao to depressed urban areas in Metro Manila and other cities in the country. They were transplanted from Davao to Metro Manila to organize what can only be characterized as another version or local DDS chapters in every city for purposes of carrying out the systematic identification of targets and their summary execution either in non-laban operations or by riding in tandem vigilantes. However, unlike in Davao, where there was no shortage of civilian hitmen recruited either from rebel returnees or small-scale miners from Diwalwal, the riding in tandem vigilantes in the national death squads, perhaps not all, are simply policemen in plain clothes. Some of them may be civilians, but recruited, coordinated with, and paid by the police to kill. During the 2009 CHR investigation on the DDS, the names of Edgar Matobato and Arturo Las Cañas already came out and were identified as members of the DDS, together with the other members of the heinous crime section of the DCPO. If you will remember, I was the one who presented Matobato in the Senate drug war inquiry in August 2016. Unfortunately, the House then did not yet have its counterpart inquiry on the drug war then. As far as I know, this is the first one. The House was then busy with the inquiry on the Bilibid drug trade and on my personal life. After I presented Matobato, the members of the heinous crime section of the DCPO were summoned to the Senate hearing for his identification, for Matobato's identification. He did not have to identify each one of them because every single one of them admitted that Matobato could identify them, including Arturo Las Cañas. Because I presented Matobato in the Senate inquiry, and I think you know this, I was removed as chairperson of the Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights. I was already arrested and detained as a result of the House inquiry on the Bilibid drug trade when Arturo Las Cañas came out and admitted being the operations head of the DDS and pointed to Duterte as the mastermind in the extrajudicial killings perpetrated by the DDS in Davao. He eventually testified at the Senate, but his testimony was dismissed as being unreliable, the same way Matobato's testimony was dismissed by the Senate Justice Committee after Senator Gordon took over as chair. As far as I know, Las Cañas is one of the major witnesses of the Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, or the OTP-ICC, in the case against Duterte and other high officials of the Duterte administration for crimes against humanity. Recently, we heard it on the news, the Senator Sonny Trillanes revealed an ICC document identifying now Senator Bato de la Rosa, former PNP Chief Oscar Albayade, former CIDD Chief Romeo Caramat Jr., former PNP Chief Intelligence Officer Eleazar Mata, and former Napolcon Commissioner Edilberto Leonardo as additional suspects in the ICC investigation. Compared to the ICC investigation of the drug war killings by the local authorities led with the DOJ has barely scratched the surface. And I think you also know this, it was disclosed in an earlier hearing that in its 2017 year-end accomplishment report, Malacanang claimed 3,967 killed in non-laban operations and 16,355 vigilante killings for a total of 20,332. That is for the period of July 1, 2016 to November 27, 2017 alone. Note that Malacanang under Duterte also considered the 16,355 vigilante killings as accomplishments in his drug war. Malacanang and even the PNP ceased to release data on those killed in vigilante operations and categorized as homicides under investigation from 2018 to 2022. We can only assume, going by the 2016-2017 data, that vigilante killings every year numbered in the thousands, aside from the official numbers released for those killed in non-laban operations. Having said that, out of thousands of killings committed in the drug war, the DOJ has only prioritized and investigated 52 cases. According to a recent Rappler report dated July 22, 2024, 32 of the 52 cases were closed without filing a criminal complaint. Of the cases filed in court, there was only one conviction and even one acquittal, leaving only 3 under trial. 8 cases were filed before the public prosecutors, and 7 are still undergoing reinvestigation. We must note, though, that those figures or those convictions do not include yet the earlier cases of Kian de los Santos, Carl Arnaiz, and Reynaldo de Guzman, which all resulted also in the conviction of their policemen killers. The one conviction in the 52 DOJ cases I mentioned earlier and reported by Rappler is that of the father and son, Luis and Gabriel Bonifacio. That's the latest conviction. So actually there are just 3 convictions involving 5 victims. This is the status of the investigation and prosecution of more than 20,000 drug war killings from 2016 to 2022. Out of more than 20,000 killed in police and vigilante operations, only 16 cases were filed with the public prosecutors and the courts, or roughly 0.08%. This is based on the conservative estimate of 20,000 killed that was already admitted by Malacanang under Duterte in its 2017 report. This does not yet include those killed from 2018 to 2022. As far as I know, the DOJ has no pronouncement on whether it will conduct further investigations of the remaining 99.92% of drug war killings. We also do not see, everybody knows that any investigation by any domestic authority of PNP higher-ups, and let alone of the former president himself. From this summation, in conclusion, we can conclude that the investigation and prosecution of the drug war killings by local authorities is practically non-existent. There is no indication also, I must say this, that the Marcos government will launch a large-scale effort anytime soon to go after the perpetrators, let alone the masterminds of the drug war killings. Well, that's why you cannot blame me if I say that we are actually better off waiting for the results of the ICC's OTP investigation, which is light years ahead of our local investigation, at least as regards the accountability of the high-ranking officials. And I appreciate the efforts of this committee. At least we now have that, this proceedings. Although, you know, I must say also that it's rather late, although better late than never. Now, we fervently await, of course, for the application by the OTP and issuance by the ICC pretrial chamber of warrants of arrest anytime, hopefully within the year. I close by also citing a quote, and this is from the position paper of the CBCP, when I was still the chair of the Senate committee, and they submitted, I quote, that no matter the moral correctness of the zeal against the drug menace, it can never be a moral justification for summary executions. End of quote. That is from the CBCP. Maraming salamat po for this opportunity to speak before this committee.
Thank you, Senator De Lima. Can you please submit to us your statement, if you could be able to do that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.